TheDomotaku 先生
Greetings, fellow senseis. It is I, WHEEEEEEEEN Sensei, here today because we just finished the Blue Archive anime. Nice, we did it. Episode 12, everyone. We did it. Been long in the running. Finally done. Where's season 2? So, Blue Archive, the animation is finally done. Episode 12 is done, and now it's time to talk about the series overall. As if you guys do not know, I, WHEEEEEEEN Sensei, have played the game throughout its entirety. Of course, it's still ongoing, but I've pretty much done a majority of the story, or the main story, perhaps, right? And the Blue Archive animation was announced. I thought would be, you know, we all had high expectations. We were thinking like, oh, maybe we'll go through volume 2 or Eden Treaty, volume F, maybe. No, we're just doing chapter 1 or volume 1, the Abydos Club, which is not too bad. I mean, it literally is the first chapter in the game, in the mobile game. So, you know, of course, we're going to have this be animated. So everyone was very excited about this. There's a lot of aspects going on with the animation, riding on, like, you know, fans of the game and the series and whatnot. Like, number one, Sensei's face. Because I was thinking about this before, actually, before the anime came out. I was like, huh, if they're going to do an anime of Blue Archive, they have to give Sensei a face. And they did. And then everyone was overall not too bad about it, because A, for one, the guy also plays the game and he's like an avid dude, and he like he read the source material pretty much, right? It's like, okay, he gets the Sensei pass, right? And yeah, you know, the anime came out, and throughout the weeks that came out, I did a few episodes talking about some episodes in particular. I really wish I could have done like weekly episode reactions and reviews every week, but unfortunately I couldn't do it every week, unfortunately. But you can check them out on the channel, they're all there. But this video in particular is to talk about the overall anime as a whole, episodes 1 through 12. You can check out episode 12 in my live VODs. But yeah, we're talking about the anime as a whole, as someone who's played the games, played through chapter 1 through 3, 4, volume F and whatnot, and what I thought about it. Overall though, as a sensei who has played the game, I really enjoyed it. I thought the Blue Archive anime was really good, actually, right? They did a lot of things that were nice and good, and they could only do in anime versus the game. And they might have skinned a few things from the game, but it's still overall, as a experience for the first chapter of Blue Archive's anime and the story, right? It did a good job. It did it well. It did what it needed to do, right? So we'll talk about that in detail. So number one, Sensei. So this was an integral part of the game and the story and the anime that I was quite curious about. Because Sensei, I mean, in the game, you know, for those of you who don't play the game, it's a visual novel. There's no voices, no Sensei face, there's nothing. You get choices and dialogue in the game, but here you have an actual character that you watch do the things, right? So overall, the Sensei character, and just the characters overall in the anime, were done pretty well. They're pretty, you know, spot on from the game. They did what they needed to do. You have the Abydos Club, you know, being Abydos. You had Serika being the tsundere, Hoshino being the Oji-san, Shiroko, you know, stepping up in a lot of aspects. You have Problem Solver come in, Kayoko, I love Kayoko, and Aru, of course, being Aru. Who else? Yeah, Hifumi, a Faust, and then you had the Prefect team. You know, you had the general suspects, right? But Sensei was a character that I was not expecting to really, you know, what to expect, pretty much, right? Because he's silent in the game. You just click a dialogue choice when you need to. But in the anime, I think he does, what do you even say? He does what he needs to be, right? Like, Sensei is the main character in the game. He's the insert character. But in the anime, he's like sidelined, and he only has to step up when he has to as a sensei, which is, I think, fits, because he's, you know, he's the sensei. He's just there to guide the students and help them out when they need help, right? But majority of the time, you're always watching Shiroko and the Abydos crew doing the action, right? But, you know, if Sensei needs to talk to Arona, he has to go freaking argue with Black Suit, or he has to go give advice to someone, or, like, you know, help them when they're like kind of like, you know, in their inner struggle, one of the students, then he takes, you know, the role, right? What else? Speaking of characters, I think the characters in this anime are pretty solid too. Like the Abydos crew, I think this anime, so this is one aspect that I really like about the anime. The anime makes all the characters and their relationship a lot more how do you put this? Like, it's expressive, I guess, because in the game, like I said, back in the game, it's a visual novel. You read text, you see cute sprites and animations, and that's it. This one, you have animation, movement, and voice acting. The voice acting, I think, is a really nice touch with the anime because one thing we don't have in the game. You don't get to hear Shiroko or Serika being all tsundere and Hoshino being OG-san. I think this is way more emphasized when you hear Hoshino talk a lot, because every time I imagine Hoshino, I just think of like the Atsui yo, oh OG-san so sleepy, oh, but then no, when she like talks in the anime and she's like mad or talking seriously and you hear the tone difference, I'm just like, oh shoot, hold up, she's not freaking around, right? And that's only something you get because there's voice acting in the anime, right? And then other aspects too, this is just a personal thing about Kayoko's voice, just me. But yeah, I think the voice acting just helps a lot in the anime. And then it also really show, like, they do a good job in showing the relationship between the Abydos crew and how close they are, because in the game you might see it a little bit, but like every aspect in the anime when they get a chance to, you know, they always see them like being all buddy and friendly and close and whatnot, always like hanging out together. The anime ending is a fantastic piece of ending. I want that full song right away. I don't know when that's coming out, but that ending song is nice. It just shows how, like, you know, tight knit and how close the characters are, and you get that in the game, but I think the anime just does a great job at showing that off well. Speaking of the anime, the action, the guns, the weaponry, the EX skill, the shit chest and whatnot, the anime. So for those of you who don't play the game, like how the game works, right, is you have little chibi sprite models running around. They're doing their own thing. You can't control them or move them. They just auto shoot, and then you use their skills when you want to. So that's how it works in the game. But in the anime, you have a lot of creative freedom and liberty to do whatever you want. You have Shiroko running up and gun-fooing everyone with their kicks and whatnot, and then, you know, being up close and like close quarters combat. And you have Hoshino, you know, of course, doing the same thing. You have Ayane dropping explosives with her drone, and then dropping mags to your teammates and whatnot. And even Iori too. Iori, like, even her EX skills, just like freaking like dodging, weaving, and shooting her rifle. But no, in the game, she's like way more physical and like up close combat and whatnot. Unfortunately, you have to get to see Hina's EX skill. I would personally like that in episode 12. But yeah, the action's solid. I liked it personally because, like, you know, like I said, in game, you don't get to control the action and the characters, but in the anime, a lot of creative freedom, right? And the enemies too, they have those usual enemy types, right? You have your helmet gangsters, you have your mechas and robots and whatnot. They all look pretty standard, right? I think episode 12, you had a lot of those, but I don't know if they were CGI, but it didn't bother me too much if they are CGI, because that's what the enemies look like in the game. For someone who's never played the game, maybe it might look off to them, but, you know, it looks right to me, honestly. The gun sound effects, okay, this might be like a personal thing, and I play Blue Archive, but I'm not a gun expert. The guns in the anime, they sound different, as I might put it. So like I said with Hina, right, I was like hoping that I would hear Hina and her EX skill and the sound effect of her gun when you use her skill. You don't get to hear that. It just sounds like I don't know, I can't describe it because I don't know anything about guns and how they sound, right? And even Nonomi, right, she has a minigun, but then when I hear it being shot in the anime, it just kind of sounds how do you put it, like less impactful, I guess, right? But I mean, that's just like a small thing, and I might be wrong about this, but it's just, it didn't bother me too much, or I don't say it bothered me too much, but it didn't like lower the whole overall rating of the show. Like, sure, it sounds thing. Maybe it's because I played the game and I'm hearing the sound effects in game every day, and like all the EX skills too. When I hear the anime, I'm just like, these gun sounds are different from what I'm hearing in game. So that just might be a personal thing. But if you weren't bothered by the gun sound effects, let me know out of curiosity, and let me know your thoughts about it. But that was overall still good. The music, I already talked about the anime ending, right? The opening and ending, original, nice, love it. You get to have the Abydos voice actors sing both. I'm pretty sure it's the Abydos crew singing both the opening and the ending. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I like that. And they do use some tracks in the game. Yeah, they use some tracks in the game in the anime. Unfortunately, they don't use too many. I think there's only 3. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I've heard, of course, Unwelcome School, for sure, right? I've heard Constant Moderado, and I've heard the Black Suit theme. They were all remixed in the anime, and you know, I might personally prefer the original sounding ones a little bit sometimes, but it's you know, they remixed it for the anime, so fair enough, fair game, right? They still used it, right? Oh yeah, how can I forget the intro of the game? They used that at the beginning of the episode, of course. Yeah, so you know, they took aspects from the game and they put it in the anime, and you know, if you play the game, there's like some nice Easter eggs and stuff for, you know, the fan base who play the game. Speaking of Easter eggs, there's so many Easter eggs in the anime. I swear to gosh, man. There's teasing us for a second season. Now, fortunately, at the end of episode 12, they don't say there's a second season announced, but there have been so many Easter egg drops from freaking beginning of the episode, teasing Volume F, then you see the Makeup Work Club, you see Amoy Midori having ramen, so there's, you know, season 2, or Volume 2, Chapter 2, right? They teased the Eden Treaty in the beginning of the series, they're talking about Gehenna and Trinity. There's so much breadcrumbs of Easter eggs like thrown everywhere in here, and that's a lot of fan service for people who play the game, right? But for people who watching the anime for the first time, you know, I don't know if they'll know, but you know, quite curious on if you guys, or for you guys who've, you know, seen these Easter eggs and whatnot. Personally, I like them. They're just teasing for a second season. It has to happen at this rate. But yeah, so far it's just overall really good. I guess in terms of the pacing of the story, so unfortunately chapter 1 is the beginning of the game, right? So it's like the one I vaguely remember the most because I remember the later chapters more than the very first one, right? But overall the pacing of the anime was overall kind of interesting. Oh yeah, of course, how can I forget about this? They skipped the tutorial of the game. So episode 1, I mean, sure, they go through the whole talk with the student council president, and you know, you have Aharu playing and you have the whole speech and whatnot, so that's the same, right? But then they skip the tutorial from the game, so you have, you know, the whole interaction with Yuka, Chinatsu, Hasumi, yeah, that's her name, Hasumi from Trinity, right? And then they fight Wakamo, and then we take the chalet building, right? That's not in the anime. It is in the anime, but it's in there in like a few seconds of the, I think the second or third episode, and then he gets the Shidem chest, and then I was like, you know, put off to the side. Personally for me, I really enjoy the tutorial of the game. Yes, it's to learn how to play the game and the game mechanics, red, yellow, blue, right? But it also sets up like, you know, you have your talk with the president, which happened in the anime. You wake up, isekai, I don't know if it's isekai, but you wake up in the world, you know, you establish that the main character, Sensei, is not from this world. And then, you know, you have them, you know, do the whole Sensei thing where you help support the students. You retake the chalet building, you have the little interaction with Wakamo. They didn't have that in the anime. I mean, you know, if you know, you know. And then you establish Rona, the whole, like, you know, the ET thing, and then anime opening plays, and then episode 2, then you can do the Abido story. But, you know, they didn't do that, so it's like, that's just my personal thing, right? They could have done the episode 0, where they had the tutorial, and then episode 1, they could do the whole Abydos thing, but no, they just go straight into Abydos, and then, like, then you find Shiroko fighting Sensei freaking, you know, plop down on the ground with his butt hanging, right? So there's that. But yeah, aside from that, also in terms of pacing of the story, the aquarium in episode 8, that's technically original and a filler, but I think it worked out well because what it did was just once again emphasize the whole closeness and relationship of the Abydos crew, right? You had, you know, everyone, you know, under pressure from the story from Kaiser, and then they're like, let's just take a breather and go have a filler slice of life thing with the aquarium and not do the Hoshino Life 2D, even though they did a little Easter egg on that. And also there's like one interaction where Shiroko personally talks to Hoshino, like one-on-one, and you know, you see a lot of the relationship between the club in this episode. And then of course you had some Easter eggs like Yuka and Noah, right? But it's still didn't exist in the game, but I enjoyed it, and it kind of fit in a sense with the story because, you know, everything's all serious with the anime. It's like, oh my gosh, we have a big debt to pay, and then technically you took out the filler and then they just go straight into attacking the Kaiser base and whatnot, then yes, it still technically works, but I think this nice little filler episode helps with like establishing the character relations and whatnot. Speaking of characters and other Easter eggs, right? I really like how they go in depth into Hoshino's backstory. I think, okay, this might not be a little bit of a spoiler for anyone who's played the game, but everything in the anime they talked about with Hoshino, right? Like, that was not in the game for sure. So when they're talking about Hoshino's senpai, Yume, if you remember her in the anime, this is all not in the game. I mean, you figure this out later on in the game, but then that's like later in the game. Like, if I remember in chapter 1, volume F, there's no mention of this at all. You might see the picture frame that Hoshino had with her and her senpai when they were younger, but you get to see the flashbacks of Hoshino talking to her and the whole thing. And this was not in the game for sure. Because even now, like in current JP game, right, they're doing some story with Hoshino's backstory and all this stuff, right? But they just threw it in the anime, and I think it works off in the pacing too, honestly, because it just shows more about Hoshino, considering she's a key figure towards the end of the series, right? And of course, they also once again show a lot of Easter eggs with Shiroko, Volume F. If you know, you know, right? So, you know, they're not afraid to, like, you know, show all these little breadcrumbs of you know, future seasons and whatnot, right? So that was honestly really nice. And like I said, overall, the Blue Archive, the animation, did a solid job in just doing the first chapter of the game. There are some aspects that I would have liked to see in the anime, but overall, they enhance a lot of the stuff that I've read from the game, played from the game, and it's a nice overall review of the first chapter. And honestly, it's really good. Would I say that the animation is better than playing the first chapter in the game? Debatable, honestly. Like, as someone who's played the game, I'm just getting an enhanced, you know, version of the first chapter, right? You could read through the first part of the game in the mobile, and there are some things that they took out from the anime, like I said, the tutorial and other small details or other interactions and whatnot. But still, you can play the mobile game. Still, it works out. You'll get the voice acting, but then the animation does that really well. And you got a lot of the backstory and flashbacks of Hoshino, which were not in the game. So it's really, you know, hand in hand. Some things do better in the game, some things do better in the animation and whatnot. But you could do both. You could, like, okay, here's here. You play the tutorial of the game first, then you have your interaction with Wakumo, and then you go watch the anime. You can do that, but let me know in the comment section below what you guys like a lot more. But yeah, in the end, both are good. The animation enhances a lot of aspects in the game, like the voice acting, the characters, the action and creativity of the, you know, the gunfights and whatnot, and then the pacing and the flashbacks and the backstory of the Abido, Screwed, Hoshino, and the characters. That's all stuff I really like in the anime. Now, what I'm missing is my season 2, because they showed the makeup work club, they showed the game club, and they showed so many Easter eggs. We need a second season. Why was there no second season confirmed in the end of the credits? That's just a personal thing. Anyways, I think that's it for the overall review of the anime. Let me know what you guys thought about the Blue Archive, the animation as a whole, in the comment section below. Are you guys watching this as someone who's never played the game? Are you watching this as an anime only watcher? Are you interested in playing the game afterwards? And I believe now the anime is being, there was no way to watch it like officially in Americas. You can watch it on JP, on the official JP Blue Archive channel, but now I think it's in America, it's coming out on the Blue Archive official English channel, so you can watch the anime there. I don't think all episodes are out there just yet, but it'll be there in the future, so you can get a good rewatch for free, right? And yeah, that's about it. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed, subscribe, and hit the bell so you're notified if I'll do some more Blue Archive or anime related stuff. I have, once again, played most of the Blue Archive story in my channel. You can check out the VODs or the live section and look at my playlist of all the stuff that I played there, right? And yeah, overall, it's just really nice. I just really want that second season, man. Well, anyways, guys, I'll see you all next time. Have a good day. This is TheDomotaku Sensei, signing off. Got some work to do.